What is going on, everybody? SchwayZ here, and today we're doing Battle of the Supercharged V8s. We're talking Ford Raptor R versus Ram TRX. All right, let's get right into it. Now, before we dive into today's video, I do want to extend a huge thank you to Makes and Models here of downtown Salt Lake City for giving me the opportunity to review these two vehicles for y'all today. These two are currently for sale at the time of filming this video, but I don't think it's going to last long. So if you're interested, make sure you reach out to them, let them know SchwayZ sent you. I'm going to put their information down in the description below. Okay, so these are the two biggest competitors on the market right now. We're talking Ford Raptor R and Ram TRX. Now, this is a vehicle that doesn't need an introduction because it's been out for a few years. This, on the other hand, is brand new for the 2023 model year. Now, the reason we're comparing these today is because they're both supercharged V8s. They're both pickup trucks. They're extreme off-roaders, and they are also in similar price points. But today we're going to discuss the exterior, interior, and finish off this video with my recommendations on which one you should buy and why. So let's get right into it. All right, let's start off with the front end of the Ram. You of course have LED daytime running lights and LED headlights. Sweeping across, you've got Ram written out in large letters. These are hollow over here to let a little bit more air into the engine. And then down here, you also have a little bit more air ventilation for that intercooler. You also have recovery hooks over here, and this is a steel front bumper, which is what you expect for an off-roader. You got your fog lights over here, your parking sensors, and then down here you do have skid plates, of course, again, because this is meant to be taken off-road. Now, in case you guys are wondering what color this is called the Mojave Sand Exterior. And this particular Ram TRX is the Sandblast Edition. It was actually a special edition one-year model that has this Mojave Sand exterior color and some other touches that I'll show off on the interior. Now, moving upwards, it's going to be hard for me to show you because it's a very tall vehicle. This is pretty much my chest height right here, but you've got your hood scoop over here to let a little bit more air into the engine, and then you do have your amber lights over here. So any vehicle that is over 80 inches in width has to have these amber lights to kind of allow you to visibly see it going down the road. Now, in case you're wondering about the width, it's about 88 inches wide. Now, coming over to the side of this vehicle, the length of this truck is 232.9 inches. It's almost identical to the Raptor R, and every single TRX comes with this four-door crew cab configuration with the 5'7" bed. It's supposed to be the smaller bed because if you're taking this off-road, you're not going to want much length behind the wheels. Now, coming over to the side, you do have a little air outlet over here to let some of that hot air outside of the engine bay. And the previous owner of this vehicle did add this little TRX logo, which looks really cool. You have this side step over here that's metal, and then moving towards the back of the vehicle, you have that TRX decal, and this is also wider, of course, than your standard 1500. Now, this is actually a fake inlet or outlet over here, but it does add a little bit of width to this vehicle, making it look a little bit more Baja pre-runner look to it. You got TRX over here on the back and the Ram badge on the tailgate. Down here, you do have recovery hooks and another steel rear bumper, and I should mention you have LED tail lights as well. Okay, now let's jump towards the Raptor R. Now, the Raptor R doesn't look that much different than the current existing Raptor, but there are some little touches that make it look a little bit different. So you have these code orange recovery hooks. You, of course, still have the steel bumper, and then this code orange R over here on the front grille. But other than that, they didn't really change that much when you compare this to the regular Raptor, and that is kind of a downside because this is a more special model because of what's under the hood, and I wish they would have made it a little bit different. That said, I do think I like the look of the Raptor a little bit more. I mean, to me, this does look pretty mean, but it's almost kind of hard to tell that this vehicle is wider. To me, this thing with the width, in addition to the headlights, you can easily tell this thing is wider. It looks a little bit meaner, especially with the amber lights located over here on the grille as opposed to the hood scoop over there. So strictly a subjective opinion, but I like the look of the Raptor R just a little bit more than the TRX, and I kind of always have. One thing that surprises me is this is actually a little bit narrower than the TRX. We're talking 86.6 inches wide, which is about an inch and a half narrower than the TRX. But both of these are incredibly wide vehicles, and that's why, of course, they have those amber lights. You do have LED headlights over here, daytime running lights that extend all across, actually into the grille a little bit. You have a large Ford grille with gloss black, and then down here you got your steel bumper with your parking sensors and your rigid fog lights as well. And then of course you have steel skid plates on the Raptor R because this is also an off-road vehicle. Now coming over to the side of the Raptor, very similar story to the TRX. You only get one configuration. It's this four-door Super Crew with a 5'7" bed. In terms of length, again, almost identical. We're talking 232.6 inches long. Now in case you're wondering about color, this one is called carbonized gray metallic. Now moving a little bit closer, similar to the TRX, you got this air outlet over here. You got your body paint painted side view mirrors, typical F-150 front row window, and then you have your Raptor decal over here in the back, and you got little tiny 8s in here, V8s, to designate that this is a Raptor R with a V8 engine and not just your typical EcoBoost. Coming around the back, you've got Ford embossed into the tailgate, Raptor R over here with a little bit more of that code orange color. You still have a steel bumper, parking sensors, and a recovery hook, and LED tail lights as well. One thing to point out is, again, you see a little bit more of that width with the amount of fender flare that goes beyond the tail lights. Okay, so jumping inside the TRX, let's take a look at the interior material quality and some of the features. Starting off with the door panel, you do have soft touch material all across the top, which is to be expected. It's all leather wrapped. You got white colored stitching, carbon fiber trim piece over here, along with some suede. I mean, lots of different materials over here on the door panel, more suede over here. You've got a nice aluminum door handle. You do have some memory settings for your seats, your Harman Kardon sound system. Now you can equip the TRX with up to a 19 speaker sound system, and that makes the interior quality very good when you're driving down the road. You've got your typical Dodge Ram window switches over here, little door handle, some more leather padding over here where you're gonna rest your elbow. You kind of have this two-tier setup for your storage compartments, a small compartment over here, bigger one over here. And then taking a look at the seats, you can get 12-way power adjustable seats over here on the Ram, and they look pretty good. You've got a little bit of suede over here mixed with some gray leather, mixed with some black leather. There's not too many interior color options, but nonetheless, it does have a pretty nice style to it. You got TRX over here with some of that white stitching on the seat back, and these are pretty comfortable to sit in for long periods of time. Now you can get these options with heated and ventilated seats, and you can get a heated steering wheel. This particular vehicle in front of me does come equipped with those features, but that is not standard on all TRXs. Now climbing inside, starting on the left-hand side, you'll see a little bit more of that use of that fake carbon fiber. You got some darkened aluminum trim pieces, and moving below that, you got your headlight controls and your adjustments for your gauge cluster lighting. Below that is an electronic parking brake, which it's kind of odd that the TRX comes with an electronic parking brake, whereas my Dodge Challenger still has a foot pedal for its handbrake. And then you do have adjustable buttons over here for your pedal. So you push this button, and you might notice the pedals start moving, and then they move back a little bit. So depending on what height you are, that could be very useful in a pickup truck of this size. Now moving above the dash, this is all leather wrapped. Feels really good. Nice soft touch material, a little bit more of that stitching. You've even got suede over here. And then it says Harman Kardon back there because that's an expansion of your 19 speaker audio system. You got a little compartment over here with a cigarette style outlet so you can plug in like a radar detector or any other devices. And while we're up here, I do want to mention that this vehicle does come with a head-up display as an optional feature. And then again, more nice use of materials over there on the passenger side with some of that leather and the white stitching. You've also got a little bit more of that carbon fiber trim. Opening this up, you have a small storage compartment, but you also have a larger one located over here in the glove compartment. And again, more nice leather materials. The interior quality of the Ram TRX is phenomenal. It's a very premium looking truck, which is what you would expect for a vehicle at this price point. Now coming down to the steering wheel, you got some suede with more of that carbon fiber material. You got a leather wrapped steering wheel with more of that white stitching. I do like the parts where you're going to grab on the most are not suede because, you know, suede may not last the test of time as long as leather. Now on the left hand side, this is how you're going to control your about 7-inch instrument gauge cluster display. Now I will say the newer models have an all digital 12-inch instrument gauge cluster display, but this one being a gently used model, this does not come with the standard all digital instrument gauge cluster, but it still looks really good. I mean, you got some nice red and black gauges on the left hand side, and then on the right hand side is of course your speedometer that goes up to 120 miles per hour. In the center, you luckily have a very colorful display over here, and you know, typical to other FCA products, you got different features here like your audio, trailer tow, trip info. But what I like is when you start going through the different drive modes, and you do that by pushing this mode button on the right hand side of the steering wheel, and when you go through all the different menus, there's actually 8 different drive modes. You have a really colorful display over here in the middle telling you exactly what drive mode you're going through and kind of what adjustments are being made. So even though it's a little bit on the smaller side, the graphics are very nice. Now coming back to the steering wheel, you've got your Ram logo here in the middle, and on the right hand side is how you control your optional adaptive cruise control. And then behind that you have these large paddle shifters. This is actually one piece that's connected, but there's a space in the back because typical to other FCA products, you've got your volume and your seek and track buttons over here, but it's still kind of cool that they've indented the paddle shifters. But overall, a large steering wheel feels very good in the hands, very truck-like. It doesn't feel like a sports car, but those added touches make it feel a little bit more sportier than your traditional pickup truck. And then moving To the right, you've got your typical Hellcat red engine start-stop button, a little bit more of that carbon fiber trim. And this is the button that I was showing off a little bit earlier with your different drive modes. But you can click your TRX button, and that will automatically open up your different drive modes. And you can customize every single one of them depending on what drive mode you're in. So if I put sport, and then I go sport setup, I can adjust the different transmission, the paddle shifters, the steering, and I can do that for all of the different modes. So pretty robust setup here with lots of different functionality in this large screen. Now, before we jump to it, I want to show you some of the buttons located below the TRX button. This is your off-road cruise control. You got your traction control off button. You do have four-wheel drive auto. You have a high and a low, but you can't lock this in a two-wheel drive mode like you can with the Raptor. You also have your rear locker over there, and if you push this button, it will automatically pull up some settings over here in the middle that will tell you that your steering wheel must be straight, and then apply brake pressure, and then it'll tell you what to do next. I'm in a parking lot, so of course I am not going to activate launch control, but that is a quick access button that you can use to get into that mode. Now, to discuss this screen, this is a 12-inch touchscreen display, and Ram kind of pioneered large screens inside of pickup trucks, but now they're kind of becoming more commonplace. But this runs on Uconnect 5, and it's a pretty good system overall. You have this vertical setup, which is kind of the opposite of what you have in the F-150 Raptor R, and then you got quick access buttons down here for your home pages, your media, you've got your navigation page, and I would say overall it's a pretty easy system to use, but it's not as quick as some of the latest software I've noticed on some new Stellantis vehicles. So it does feel like it could be a little bit snappier. The screen itself feels like the quality could be a little bit better definition, but again, I'm nitpicking here. This is a really good system. Now, you do have some physical buttons for those of you that hate touchscreen controls for your dual zone climate control, your fan speed, your air conditioning. And then up here, you have some buttons for your lane keep assist off, your hazards, and there is a blank switch here, which is kind of odd for a vehicle at this price point. Now, you can quickly swipe down for your quick access buttons up at the top, so you can open up your 360-degree camera. Now, it only takes up half the screen, but that's because then you can cycle through the various settings by just quickly tapping on the button. But as you can see, it's just a little bit delayed as compared to some of the most modern technology out there, but a pretty good 360 camera overall. Moving below that, you've got your physical volume knob, and then you have your physical tune knob. Now, the nice thing is you may be able to see on the screen, this does have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. Moving below that, you've got your trailer brake controller, your trailer steering button, which is really fancy technology for steering a trailer. And then you've got your auxiliary switches here and buttons to turn on and off the parking sensors. Below that, you have a wireless charging pad, which can definitely fit some of the largest phones on the market. And then you got a little compartment over here if you want to store your phone, but you don't want to necessarily charge it. You can just place it there. You got some USB ports with an auxiliary cable. And then below that is just a little compartment where you can store some other things like your keys. You got your gear selector over here. It is leather wrapped, a little bit more of that carbon fiber material, and then opening this up is two cup holders. Moving further back, this is a mix of suede and leather armrest over here, and it feels really good, very soft to rest your elbow on. You also have your VIN number here. It gives you some details about your supercharged engine, your horsepower, the amount of boost that your supercharger pumps through the engine, so that's pretty cool. This is a two-tier setup for your ARM console, so you got the first layer with a USB port, and then you can open up the second larger layer, and that has a lot more space in there as well. And then along with some Easter eggs over here with like your protractor and then different types of wrench conversion measurements as well. Moving above you, this particular vehicle does come with the digital rear view mirror. And then above that is some of your controls for your large panoramic sunroof. So if I push on this button, it will automatically open your large panoramic sunroof. And the nice thing here is this does have an opening sunroof. So it's not just a fixed glass roof. And as you can see, it is a wide opening for the first and second row passengers. Now up here, you also have a button to open up that rear window, give you a little bit of extra airflow and a pass-through, along with a button to open up your tailgate. Okay, now jumping into the second row, same nice use of materials on the door panel, leather wrapped up here, a little bit more of that Alcantara suede over here, more carbon fiber, same type of door handle, and then you have that two-tiered storage as well. Now, moving inside, this vehicle does come with the heated and ventilated seat option. That's not standard, of course, but you can't get ventilated seats in the back row of the Raptor R, so that is definitely a benefit. Same nice materials on the seats. Now, similar to most pickup trucks, you can raise up the seat and have a little bit of underfloor storage with this little wall here so things don't bounce around. You can also lower this wall to get a much larger amount of space in the second row. And then climbing inside, This vehicle actually has a little bit more legroom than the Raptor R, but I don't think anybody will complain with the amount of space in the second row of the Raptor. This has about 45.2 inches of second row legroom, and this is absolutely massive. Over here you got 2 cup holders, a little bit more of that carbon fiber. You got rear air vents, little compartment where you can put your wallet or your phone. There's your heated and ventilated seats. You got your USB ports and a household power outlet. And then pulling on this tab, you will open up your center arm console over here. A little bit more of that SchwayZ that you have in the first row on the center arm console. Opening this up, a little compartment over here, 2 cup holders, and overall a pretty nice large center armrest. Now, as you would expect from a pickup truck, I got pretty good headroom back here. Then you got 2 more of those speaker grills back here as well. So overall, pretty comfortable second row. Okay, now is a good time to pause that video and hit the subscribe button if you guys are enjoying the content. That helps me out a lot by bringing more cool content like this in the future. All right, let's get back to the video. All right, now let's jump inside of the Raptor R and talk about the interior features and the materials. Now, starting off with the door panel, this is kind of an interesting material over here. I can't say it's leather, but it's also not plastic either. It might be like an injection molded plastic because it is soft touch, but I do think that the interior door panel of the TRX looks a little bit better. You do have that code orange stitching, which looks really nice. A little bit of this carbon fiber trim piece, and then you've got your memory seats, lock and unlock, and your typical Ford switches. This is some of the same switch gear you get out of the regular F-150. You do have a leather soft touch surface over here to rest your elbow. You got your grab handle over here with the door handle located inside of it. That's also typical F-150 stuff. Little storage over here, and then a bigger one down here with your cup holder. Now the Raptor R does come with an 18 speaker Bang & Olufsen sound system, so just 1 speaker less than that in the TRX, but that does come standard on the Raptor R, which is nice because this does come at a little bit of a higher price point. Now let's move in on these seats. You do have power adjustable seats here, and these are Recaro seats mixed with a little bit of leather and suede. And I gotta say, I think I like the look of these a little bit more than that in the TRX. You got a little bit of that code orange stitching over here, some suede over here with some leather, and I do like that you have the Raptor with the code orange R over here, and you've actually got a speaker system located in here. I will also note that it feels like these seats hug you in a little bit more than that in the TRX. The TRX almost feels like a regular truck seat, whereas these actually, because they're Recaros, hug you in a little bit more when you're driving down the road. Now, similar to the Ram, these are heated and ventilated. And then jumping inside, let's talk about the materials here. Now, first off, you don't have a flat bottom steering wheel, which is a little bit surprising, but you got that code orange marker up at the top, and then a little bit of that code orange stitching all across the side. Now, in terms of features here, you've got your typical cruise control features, lane keep assist, your voice activation, and then you've got your R button over here. So by pushing this button, this is automatically going to go to your favorite drive modes, or the modes that you've set inside of the infotainment. So if you click this button, as you can see, my mode settings are everything in normal, but you can customize it and then automatically save it by holding this button down, and it will save your current settings as your favorites. On the right hand side of the steering wheel, you got your menu button, and this is how you control your 12-inch instrument gauge cluster display. So that is a big benefit to what you have in this particular TRX. Very colorful graphics, although I will say this is not that much different than what you find in pretty much every other F-150. Now you can go through your Raptor info where you can pull up various different gauges and your measurements, and that will give you a little bit of extra information than what you'd have in your typical F-150, but it's a pretty intuitive system overall, and you just regulate it using this button and the menu button over here on the steering wheel. Now this is how you adjust your various steering settings from Comfort to Sport to Baja, and then your suspension settings is the button located below it, similar settings there, and then you've got your exhaust settings as well, where you can go anywhere from quiet, normal, to Sport and Baja. And again, once you get into that mode, then you can push this R button and save your presets. So kind of a lot of functionality built in with your different drive modes. Behind the steering wheel, you've got these nice paddle shifters that extend all the way from the top to the bottom. They feel really good in the hands. And then before we move towards the center, let's talk about on the left-hand side, you got that code orange coloration over here. A little bit of this, what looks kind of like a fake aluminum trim piece that extends all around the air vent. Some more of that carbon fiber trim. Down here you have your buttons to turn on the lights on the side view mirrors. You also have a button to open up the tailgate, and then these are your different lighting controls down here, along with a button to turn on the light inside of the truck bed, your electronic parking brake, and then similar to the TRX, you have a button to adjust your pedals. The pedals don't look as nice in this vehicle. They're just rubber lined, whereas the TRX had them with metal as well. Moving above you, this vehicle doesn't have any type of head-up display, which is kind of unfortunate because the TRX did. And then I will say the material use here is the same that's on the door panel. It's kind of an odd material. I wish it was just leather. I think this will probably last the test of time a little bit better than leather, but it just doesn't look as good. And that's honestly something I'm noticing about the interior of the Raptor is the material use doesn't seem as nice in my opinion as the TRX. That one feels a little bit more luxurious, whereas this one maybe feels a little bit more sporty. Similar to the TRX, you got a Bang & Olufsen sound system, although you don't have any type of USBs or cigarette style power outlet. On the passenger side, you've got your Code Orange stitching, a little bit more of that carbon fiber. Similar to the TRX, you got a 2-tier setup with a glove compartment up there and one down here as well. You got your start stop button. I wish it was a different color, but it is what it is. You got some more carbon fiber trim. Now let's talk about this center screen. This is a 12-inch touchscreen, so essentially the same size as what's in the TRX. And this has the exact same Sync 4 system that you find in pretty much every other F-150. You got wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto, and it's a pretty good system overall. You got the dual screen setup over here, and you can swipe the left and the right by pushing this button over here. And it's a very colorful display. I would say the quality of the screen itself and just how quick it reacts is probably just a little bit better than that in the TRX, but I'm splitting hairs here. They're very similar overall in terms of their functionality. I will mention that it doesn't seem like you have any type of performance pages here. So like in the TRX where I pushed the different drive modes and it pulled up a screen where I could make those adjustments, most of those adjustments are actually located on this screen and not in the center display. But you do have a 360-degree camera, and I do like that it takes up the entire 12-inch screen. It does seem like the quality might be just a little bit better than in the TRX, but I think Chevy's is still the best in terms of a 360 camera. On the left-hand side, you have your trailer steer control similar to the TRX and your trailer brake controller underneath. Now, this is where you can regulate through your 4 high, 4 low, 4 auto, and you've got a 2-wheel drive mode here. So you can actually have this supercharged V8 in rear-wheel drive mode. Now, if you push this button, you can lock your rear differential just like the TRX, and then by rotating this controller is how you go through your different drive modes. So you've got 7 drive modes over here in the Raptor R, and the color displays are really nice. I do like that this has a larger screen than that in the TRX. One odd feature or lack thereof is you don't actually have launch control inside of the Raptor R, which is really odd. Now, I know Car and Driver figured out a way to get the best acceleration here with having the auto hold feature on in the vehicle, but overall it is kind of disappointing that you don't have any type of launch control settings located over here. Above this display, you have the button to quickly activate your 360 camera if you don't want to put it in reverse. You can also have the parking assist feature where it will search for a parking spot and automatically park the vehicle. You've got your hazards button over here, your traction control off, and then this vehicle does have a off-road trail cruise control, and you also have 1 pedal driving. So by doing that, if you activate it over here on the center screen, once you let off of the gas pedal, it will automatically brake the car. It's almost like driving an electric vehicle. The other benefit is you have trail turn assist. This is something that I have in my Ford Bronco as well, but with this activated, the vehicle will automatically brake the rear tires, either left or right side, and allow your turning radius to be a little bit tighter. So if you're coming up on an obstacle where you need to go around it a little bit tighter than your typical turning radius, well, you activate that trail turn assist button and it will help make the turning radius a little bit tighter. It's almost like having rear wheel steering, but kind of an old school form. Now, below this display, you have your physical redundant buttons, which are really nice. You got your volume controls, your tune settings over here, and then this section over here is your climate control settings. On the right-hand side, you have a 12-volt power outlet and a household power outlet as well. Now, below that, you got this carbon fiber trim piece opening this section up. You got your wireless charging pad and 2 USB ports and a little compartment to store different items. Just so you're aware, it does fit some of the largest phones on the market today, and then you can close it out of plain sight. That is something I like about the Raptor R. The TRX felt like this area was a little bit cluttered because there was no flap to actually close it. Moving further back, this is a complaint I have on the F-150, and this isn't specific to the Raptor, but I want to point it out here. As you can see here, this has a little bit of wobble to it, and the reason it has that is because this has the stowaway gear selector, but even as it goes down, it makes kind of a pretty bad sound. It really doesn't sound that good, but the benefit to doing that is once you lower it, you can open up this center armrest and have a work surface over here so you can, use your laptop or write something on a piece of paper. So very useful if you're, using your vehicle as a work truck, and then you can automatically open. But I just wish they made that sound a little bit better. You got a little compartment here for your phone or your wallet, 2 cup holders, and then a soft center arm console with some SchwayZ and some leather with that Raptor R. Opening this compartment up, it's very large. You have a little tray over here and then a large compartment inside of here as well. And then there's 2 USB ports located down near the bottom. Now, moving above you, you don't have any type of rear view digital camera mirror, which is a little bit odd for a car that costs this much. And then over here, you have your typical light controls, your button to open up your sunroof. So opening up this large panoramic sunroof. And of course, you can also open up this sunroof. And then you also have a button here to open up that rear window. You've got your auxiliary switches here so you can wire different items and activate them there. And you've got a little sunglass holder. All right, now jumping into the second row of the Raptor, similar use of materials over here on the door panel, a little bit of that carbon fiber. You do have a cup holder over here and your grab handle located on the side. Nice leather wrapped armrest. Again, a 2-tier setup with some storage compartment up here and then a little bit of more storage located down at the bottom with a cup holder. Taking a look at the inside, same nice leather suede seats with that code orange stitching, and you've got a leather headrest as well. Now, similar to the TRX, you can open up this underfloor storage, and this does seem like a little bit of a larger space than what you have in the TRX. And then you can also fold down this section and have a much larger, wider opening in the second row. And then you just pull on this tab, and that's how you lower the seat. Now, climbing inside, this also has plenty of legroom. We're talking 43.6 inches. You've got 2 cup holders over here, a little section for like a wallet or maybe a juice box, rear air vents, heated seats in the back. You got a cigarette style power outlet. You've got more charge ports down here with 2 USBs and a household power outlet. So I'll give that a win for the Raptor R. And then in terms of your center arm compartment, you've got 2 cup holders over here. No SchwayZ or anything like that, but this is perfectly fine to rest your elbow on. And then in terms of headroom, very similar to the TRX. Overall, pretty comfortable place to sit, but there's no speaker grills located above my head. Now, jumping into the truck bed of the TRX, not too much to report here. You do have bed liner, which is really nice. You got some LED lights over here, but I'm not seeing any type of power outlet. The previous individual that owned this vehicle did add this electronically power assisted tonneau cover, but that is not standard from the factory. Now, unfortunately, you don't have any type of fancy measuring tape over here like you do on the Raptor R, but I will say this tailgate is incredibly light. It's very easy to open with one arm. Okay, now jumping into the truck bed, you also have a soft opening. It's a little bit slower than that in the TRX, but this is a little bit of a nicer tailgate. So of course you have Ford's measuring tape located over here. This is something they've included on pretty much every modern F-150. You got a little slot over here for some pencils or to put your phone vertically. And then you've got your openings for your seat clamps so you can strap things to the back of the tailgate and actually cut them. Now you also have the step feature where you can open this up and actually climb into the truck bed. So more functionality on this lift gate than that in the TRX. Now, because of this additional gear, it is a little bit of a heavier lift gate, but the benefit here, typical to other F-150s, is if you pull this up, this thing will automatically start to close it. Or you can push on the key, automatically open it, and then you can also use that same button to automatically close it, similar to like a typical crossover. So that is a benefit to the tailgate that the TRX just doesn't have. The one thing I will complain back here is there is no bed liner. And considering the price of this vehicle, not having a bed liner in an off-road pickup truck, I think is inexcusable. So that is odd that it doesn't come from the factory with that. You do have a household power outlet, which is nice. You also have some lighting over here in the back and different tie down points. So very similar to the TRX, but come on Ford, you can add some bed liner here for the price that you're charging for the Raptor R. All right, I want to quickly pause this video and tell you about Octane Coffee Company. It is the car themed coffee company, and I thought the perfect blend for the TRX is Octane #1. It's called the GOAT, named after the iconic GTO. This is the perfect dark roast. You get that smoky flavor that a lot of us love in a dark roast coffee. If you're a car enthusiast, this is the coffee you should have. Check out the variety of different roasts they have at octanecoffeecompany.com and get 10% off your first order using promo code Octane10. Now back to the video. All right, now let's talk about what's going on under the hood of these two beasts. Starting off with the TRX. This is a very familiar engine. This is actually the exact same engine I have in my 2020 Dodge Challenger Hellcat. We're talking a 6.2 liter pushrod supercharged V8 that produces, in this application, 702 horsepower and 650 pound-feet of torque. Now, all of that power is sent through an 8-speed ZF automatic transmission. Now, 0 to 60 on this vehicle is just right around 3.7 seconds, and the top speed is 118 miles per hour. Now, fuel economy is terrible. We're talking 10 in the city and 14 on the highway. All right, now let's jump to the Raptor R. Under the hood here is a similar methodology, but slightly different displacement. So we're talking the same engine, but slightly modified from the Shelby GT500. It's a 5.2 liter supercharged V8 with double overhead cams, so a little bit different than the pushrod system in the TRX. And this supercharger provides 12 pounds of boost. So the horsepower figures on the Raptor R is 700 horsepower and 640 pound-feet of torque. So just slightly down to the TRX, but this thing weighs around 500 to 700 pounds lighter than the Ram. So that should help it in terms of its acceleration. Speaking of acceleration, it's rated around the same 3.7, 3.8, but Car and Driver managed to get this thing 0 to 60 in 3.6 seconds. So just 1/10 of a second faster than the TRX, but it really comes down to the driver and the amount of weight inside of the vehicle. And top speed on this engine is 114 miles per hour. Now, all that power is sent through a 10-speed automatic transmission. Fuel economy is also terrible. You're looking at 10 in the city and 15 on the highway. Now, in case you're wondering about towing capacity, the TRX can tow about 8,100 pounds. But towing capacity is better than the TRX. You're looking at 8,700 pound max towing. Okay, since these are both off-road vehicles, let's talk about what's going on underneath. Starting off with the Ford, you've got these Fox live valve technology shocks that automatically adapt depending on which driving modes you're in. And you have upwards of 13 inches of travel in the front and 14 inches of suspension travel in the rear. Now, moving over to the Ram TRX, you've got these Bilstein dual valve shocks that also adjust depending on what terrain you're in. And lo and behold, you've got the same amount of 13 inches of travel in the front and 14 inches of suspension travel in the back. Now, in terms of wheels and tires, that's where it gets a little bit different. Starting off with the TRX, you have these Goodyear Wrangler Territory all-terrain tires. These are 325/65 R18s, all four wheels around, as compared to the Raptor R, which comes with 37-inch tires. So these are 35s versus 37s over here. These are BF Goodrich all-terrain KO2 tires. So you got 12.5-inch tire and a 17-inch wheel. Both of them very capable, but because this has the taller tire, this has a little bit extra ground clearance. We're talking 13.1 inches of ground clearance on the Raptor R versus about 11.8 inches on the TRX. All right, now let's talk approach, departure, and breakover angle. The Ford's approach angle is 33.1 degrees, breakover is 24.4 degrees, and departure is 24.9 degrees. Since the Ram has smaller tires, you're looking at a 30.2 degree approach angle, a slightly worse 21.9 degree breakover angle, and a slightly worse 23.5 degree departure angle. All right, now let's talk about pricing, because I'm sure you're dying to know, what do both of these cost? Well, starting off with the Ram TRX. For 2023, they start at $85,700. But this one with the Sandblast edition started around $100K. But I should say that to get some of the amenities that this vehicle has, like the heated seats, the heated steering wheel, you have to get the level 2 equipment package, which alone costs $10,995. So a fully equipped Ram TRX could easily get you over $100K. The reason I say that is because the standard Raptor R starts around $109,000. So this one pretty much comes fully equipped out of the gate. There are obviously a couple features you can add on, but a fully equipped Raptor R and a fully equipped TRX is just about 10 grand difference, and that's not accounting for markups or dealer adjustments. So these are similar if you're wanting to get a equally equipped vehicle. That said, if you just want an entry-level TRX, then this is going to be a lot more affordable than the Raptor R. All right, well, there you have it, folks. That is the Ram TRX versus the Raptor R. So what are my overall thoughts between the two? Well, it's a really hard choice to make. It's like picking between your children. Which one do you pick? Well, here's my overall thoughts. I like the exterior of the Raptor R more, but I actually like the interior quality and the interior design of the TRX more. So if I could blend these two in terms of styling, that would be my favorite. In terms of which one I would buy, well, the Raptor R is definitely more expensive, and I'm a little upset that certain features are missing from the vehicle, like a bed liner, like some of the leather inside of the vehicle. It just doesn't seem that different from just your regular Raptor. At the same time, the TRX is a little bit more common. You see these quite often nowadays. So the Raptor R is definitely more rare, kind of makes you feel a little bit more special driving behind the wheel. But honestly, you can't go wrong with either one of these. And what a time to be alive where you have two supercharged V8 engines under the hood inside of a pickup truck. I mean, where's Chevy in this competition? That would really be the question I have, because these two are incredible vehicles, and if you happen to own one of them, you are a very lucky individual, because you're going to be happy and it's going to give you a huge smile on your face. Both of these are going to accomplish probably 99% of any condition you're going to take it through. But which one would you pick and why? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for all of the weekly car videos. Also check me out on all the social media at SchwayZ_. And until next time, everybody, I hope you stay SchwayZ, stay healthy, have a wonderful day.